All right, guys, let's talk about how to apply for an EIN. Last time we talked about who is required to get an EIN, right? So you're required to get an EIN if you have a business and you are not a sole proprietor that does not have employees, okay? So an EIN stands for an employer identification number. Everybody who either has employees or who is a business that is not a partnership, corporation, S corporation, etc. So if you're a sole proprietorship, essentially, you don't need an EIN. Now, pretty much everybody has to have an EIN for banking purposes. If you're going to go open a business bank account, probably going to require an EIN, okay? So an EIN, there's a couple ways you can apply for it. You can do it online, which is the easiest way, in my opinion, or you can do it through the mail, okay? It does not cost money to apply for an EIN. Do not go to a website that is going to charge you money to apply for an EIN unless they are providing some sort of assistance, right? So if they're providing assistance in registering you with the state or local, or they're helping you with the legal formation, or you have a question about an answer on the EIN form, that's a different story, right? Then it may be worth it to pay them, but don't pay somebody to get an EIN. You can do it online on the IRS website, all right? So when you apply online on the IRS website, it will generate your EIN letter immediately after you've submitted the form. At that point in time, you need to download your EIN letter and you need to keep it. The IRS does not issue duplicate EIN letters. They can issue a letter that is similar, that'll state what your EIN is, but they will not issue a duplicate EIN letter. And you need your EIN letter for a lot of different purposes, like a bank account, etc. Okay, so if you're going to do this online, make sure you do it on a computer that you can go ahead and download your EIN letter right after, all right? So this is the online application. It's really straightforward. I'm not going to start it though because it's for people who are actually applying for an EIN, right? I'm going to show you the form instead. So this is form SS4 right here in the upper left-hand corner. It's where you can see what the form number is. Okay, and you can see that it's an application for the employer identification number. Okay, so this is how you apply for the EIN. Okay. So I'm just going to go through this really quickly with you, show you what information you are going to see on the questionnaires, because this SS4 is the paper version of the online application, right? So if you're going to apply online, looking over form SS4 will help you know the answer or the questions that you're going to have to answer when you apply. So you're going to need the legal name of the entity. This is important. You need to realize that you need to have your business legally registered if you plan on doing so. For example, if you plan on registering and creating an LLC, you need to go register that LLC, then come back in and apply for your EIN, okay? So you need the legal name. If you have like a DBA, that's gonna go here. Mailing address, street address, executor, administrator, trustee, care of name. So essentially who's responsible for the business, name of responsible party, social security number, EIN social security number, ITIN or EIN. This is essentially saying, what is the identification number of 7A, okay? Is this application for a limited liability company? Now you need to recognize that an LLC does not have its own taxation type, but because an LLC is so prominent with the IRS, with small businesses, they see applications from LLCs all the time. They're going to ask you if it is an LLC. The other thing is that the LLC has some implications for passive versus active and various other treatments for partners in the business. Okay, I'm not going to get into that right now. Essentially, you just need to know, are you an LLC? If you are, click yes. If you're not, click no, right? If you are an LLC, it wants to know the number of members. Members are owners, okay? So members are owners of the LLC. They call them members. You can also go here, click all of these items, or not all of them. Click the one that is appropriate, if one is appropriate for you. Let me see here. Reason for applying. This one's pretty important, okay? They're just asking you, why are you applying? But sometimes people get a little confused here. So if you started a new business, you click the Start New Business box right here. If you hired employees, let's say that you were a sole proprietorship. You've been in business for 5-6 years, but you've never hired employees before, right? You were operating under your Social Security number, which is perfectly valid, but now you've hired employees. So you didn't necessarily start a new business, but you hired employees. So now you're required to have an EIN, right? You maybe need banking purposes, specify purpose. Maybe you need it to open a bank account. Purchased a going business. So maybe you purchased a business. The date the business started or the date that you acquired it. Okay, so you need your business start date. Closing month of the accounting year. This can be a little bit confusing for some people. So this just essentially says, what is the last month of your fiscal year? Okay, almost all small businesses are going to have their last month of December. There are some exceptions. You may have a corporation that, let's say, the fiscal year for that corporation runs from July through June. Maybe the busy season for that business is May and June. So it makes sense for them to end their year at that point in time for accounting purposes, okay? Almost everybody is going to put December here. If you are not following the calendar year, so January through December, for your accounting year, you need to make sure that you're permitted to do that. Some businesses have to follow a calendar year. Okay, so don't just put random month in there without making sure that you're permitted to do that. That's a valid option for your business, okay? This is going to say, what is the highest number of employees that you're expected to have in the next 12 months. This is going to ask some questions about employer taxation. This is going to, a lot of this is just basic information about your business. Have you ever applied for or received an EIN? Okay. Now this form has a nice little workflow on page 2. That's probably going to be pretty helpful, right? So do I need an EIN? Some businesses don't need an EIN, and this is going to tell you if you need one, right? So it's going to say if the applicant, you can see here, started a new business, all right? And you don't currently have employees or you don't expect to have employees. It's going to tell you what form or what lines on the form you can complete, okay? So that's the form. It's 2 pages, very basic. The online process is just as simple. Applying for an EIN is very easy, okay? Now, when you get your EIN letter, you want to check a couple of things, okay? When you get your EIN letter, it's going to have a EIN in the upper right-hand corner of the letter, okay? And remember, this is going to automatically generate if you use the online application. Online application is so much faster because you get it right then, okay? This can take a while, the SS4. If you can, use the online application. Every once in a while it goes down. I would recommend just waiting until the next day if you can. So you're going to get your EIN in the upper right-hand corner, and then it's going to be a letter. It's going to be a typed letter, and it's going to tell you what form the IRS is going to expect your business to file. Now, if you're a sole proprietorship, it won't have a specific form unless you've triggered some sort of other tax on there. But for all other businesses, it's going to tell you what form it expects you to file. Okay, or forms. It may list multiple forms on there. It's really important that you look those over and understand what forms those are. If you have triggered a form that you don't think is right, reach out to the IRS, reach out to a tax professional. Don't ignore it, okay? Because if you ignore it, the due date for that form may come and go, and then you may get notices for not filing said form, notices for a substitute for return that maybe they're going to file for you, they're going to assess tax, you'll get penalties and interest, etc. Okay, so just review the forms, make sure they make sense for your business. If they don't, reach out to the IRS or reach out to a tax professional, okay? So that's the EIN letter. Next, I'm going to talk about your business bank account, why you need one, how you establish one, how that works, okay? So that's what we'll do in the next video, and I'll see you tomorrow.